Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
You gonna sit down, Jim?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Tommy, do y'all need the memos?
Ma'am?
Do y'all need the memos?
We now call cause number 21-37141, the state of Texas versus, is it Jerian? Is that how you pronounce it, sir? Jerian Jamal Elam Jr., present with Mr. Grove, his attorney, and the state's attorneys. In this case, there's a motion to revoke unadjudicated probation filed August 31st of 2023. Is the defense familiar with it and has had time to prepare here?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. In summary, does the defendant waive a formal reading of this motion? Can we proceed in summary?
Yes, Your Honor.
In summary, this motion to revoke unadjudicated probation, again filed August 31st of last year, it alleges that in this court on May 16th, 2022, you were placed on 10 years deferred or unadjudicated probation for aggravated robbery. Is that true and correct? And then you see, I'm going to take these quickly. Committing the offense of aggravated robbery in Jefferson County, Texas, on or about May 1st, 2023. Failing to report properly to the probation office for the months of April and May of 2023. And failing to provide verification performing community service hours as required. Those are violations of probation orders. Do you understand what they are going to proceed on? And do you plead untrue to those? Untrue, not true. Right?
Well, you plead not true to those. Is that correct?
Okay. Call your first witness.
I'll call Noel Sanchez.
Is that you? Come forward. And raise your right hand, sir. You solemnly swear or affirm any statement you make today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Lower your hand. Thank you.
Can you state your name for the record, please? Mr. Sanchez, you're incarcerated right now, is that correct?
Yeah.
And you're incarcerated for what?
For this,
Possession of a controlled substance, all right? And that case has not been dealt with yet. You just got arrested on that just about 2 or 3 days ago, right? All right. So we're not going to talk about that offense, all right? Back on. Get this right. Back on May 1st of 2023. Where were you working?
Big H Mobile Grocery.
Excuse me?
Big H Mobile Grocery.
Big H Mobile Grocery? What kind of business is that?
We set up accounts for EBT. People with food stamps and stuff like that.
People with food stamps and things, and do you deliver groceries to them?
Yes, sir.
And how does that work? How does a person get you to come bring them groceries?
They call the office and they give us that appointment that day and we go to the.
And on that day, were you given an address on 1770 Main Street
Yes.
in Beaumont, Texas?
Yes, sir.
And is that in Jefferson County, Texas? Okay. So what was the purpose of you going to Main Street?
I was going to deliver groceries to customers.
Do you know who that customer was? Do you remember her name?
I don't recall her name. I'm not really good.
Were you running late that night?
Yes, sir. I'll call her and tell her I'll be there. I'll be running a little late.
Why were you running late?
I was doing other appointments.
You don't just
I was a
do.
little behind.
So do you just deliver in Beaumont?
Port Arthur, Orange, Texas.
So you were all over the place. You ever go to Houston?
I've done it before, but that's not my area. I was in Beaumont, living in Beaumont. We had a location there for Beaumont.
So that night, whenever you were pulling up, when you pulled up to Main Street, were you by yourself? Now that's an apartment complex, is it not? And had you dealt with this lady before that you were bringing the groceries to?
To the lady, yeah, I've always been there. I've been working to her and I park in the same spot.
Okay, so you always park in the same spot with her?
Yeah.
And you've met her in the back? And so that night, see, that was about. It's kind of late, wasn't it?
The little.
Like 9:25, 9:30, somewhere at night? And are you usually that late?
Yeah, I mean, I started my ride late, so I mean, my body tells me, be careful, but I'm okay, I'm doing the doing my job, So
Be careful because it's late?
Yeah,
Why would he say be careful?
Beaumont is Beaumont.
Yeah, is there a possibility something could happen to you?
Yeah,
And you told him you'd be okay?
yeah, but I mean, everybody knew me and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
people that I said grocery to, they all knew that I'll help them out,
So you weren't okay that night though, were you?
nothing.
So
Everything.
when you pull into the apartment complex, do you usually pull in straight or do you back in?
I back to,
And what's your procedure after you back up? Do you text her and tell her you're there or what?
yes.
Or do you text her and tell her you're there when you pull up?
Yeah, no, when I'm heading that way. And then I open my door and wait for the customer to put cups, walk up.
Okay, so that night, did you do that? Did you back in?
Yeah.
Did you open the doors?
Mm-hmm.
And did you wait?
Yeah.
And how long were you waiting?
For a good while, but she never showed up, but while I was going to go to the bag, I see a couple guys already. I'm not gonna run already when I see a couple guys with their face.
Okay, hold on, let's take that. You said you saw a couple of guys. Where did you see a couple of guys?
They're coming from back, like in front of the apartment from the hallway or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, and one.
what made them look strange to you?
So they had shirts on the face.
They had shirts on their face, covering their faces.
Yeah.
And you still weren't worried?
Well, I mean, I couldn't run no more when one guy like, you good, and then that's when I was waiting for the customer still.
Okay,
And then that's when
so did they go somewhere? Did they walk by you and go somewhere?
they walked that to the right, then I was waiting in the truck still. And then all of a sudden one comes and like, give me everything you got. And I was like,
Okay,
"Cool,
so-
man."
One came, was it one of those guys that had the shirt on his face?
Yeah,
Did he have a gun in his hand?
sorry, yeah.
A what, assault rifle? Do you know assault rifles?
I mean, it's big of a guy, grabbed the barrel.
So you actually grabbed the barrel of it?
Yeah, I him struggling.
Okay, well, he said he came around and did he point the gun at you?
Yes, sir.
And what did he do when he pointed the gun at you?
Like, give me all your money, give me everything you got. And I said, I ain't got nothing, I mean, we don't carry money.
What happened after that?
After that, then I had my hands up and I grabbed his gun and I was trying to take it from him. And then he stopped me. That's when I let go.
Okay,
I grabbed
let's take it slowly. So you grabbed the gun. Were y'all wrestling over the gun?
Yeah, we were wrestling back and forth.
And were you twisting back and forth trying to get it out of his hands?
Yeah, went like that and pulled the trigger.
Okay, he pulled the trigger and shot you. And the right leg, left leg,
This one and
both legs.
Yeah.
So you got shot one, still wrestling over the gun, shot another one.
Then that's when I finally let go and he seen me reaching out from mine on top and that's when he took off and
Okay, so you said that you reached for yours on top of your what?
my gun.
What kind of gun did you have?
A little 22 that I don't care.
Where did you have it?
On the top shelf.
Let me show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 15. You recognize that? That look like your van from the front?
Yeah.
Is that fairly accurately depict what that van looked like that night?
Yeah.
And State's Exhibit 17, what is that?
No,
Is that your van? This the side of it?
Yeah.
Which side is that? Can you tell?
Right.
Driver. Is that the driver's side or passenger side?
Passenger side.
Passenger side. That's the back door right here? Okay. And State's Exhibit 18, what is that?
That's my line.
part of your van, it's just showing the bullet holes in your van. And states exhibit 19, what is that? Okay, and do these fairly and accurately depict what your van looked like with the bullet holes in it, with the Visa, MasterCard, all these signs on it?
Correct.
Look at states 20, is that also part of your van?
Yes, sir.
And is that fairly and accurately depicted, your van? And states 21,
That's
is that what it looks like in the back?
yeah.
That fairly and accurately
That's
depicted?
how I open my door to that.
When you open your doors for her, is that what that looks like? Okay. And state 16, look at this. Is that the front of your van? Was that hole always there? Okay, so that was new for that night. Is that fairly and accurately depict the front windshield of your van that night?
Right.
Okay. Tender 15 through 21, good.
So you've got 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21?
Yes, sir. That's fine. No. This had to be happy.
No objection, Your Honor.
They're admitted.
The van that you have, when you have the groceries in the back. Let me get this fired up here a little bit. Didn't that come on? Thank you. So that's State's Exhibit 21. Thank you. Is that what the back of your van looked like that we were describing for the judge? And all the groceries? Now that on the right hand side of the photo, is that a shelf? There's a lot of shelves there?
My ball bill, right? Myself.
Okay. Let me show you states 23 and 24. Does that show those shelves better? Those fairly inaccurately depict those shelves in the back of your truck. Tender 23 and 24. Good.
Objection, Your Honor.
Admitted.
Look at 23 first. So these shelves, where did you have your gun? Was it up here?
On top where.
Up here at the very top.
Left hand top.
Over here?
Yes, sir.
And you were back in the van?
Yeah.
Were you back in the back of the van?
Right there, where that spot is,
Right in here?
right in the back.
In the back here?
Right there, close to my gun, I was close to,
Okay.
just make sure.
So did he come in the van or did he come to the edge of the van?
It came like right there and top on the back, right there.
Okay.
Where the shelves are right there.
So he leaned over,
Now he went up there.
he came up inside.
There and that one right there and.
Now this stuff down here on the ground down here, what is this down here?
Oh, look.
That's your blood? You're looking at State's Exhibit
Moved too fast, everything was going too fast.
24? Is that the little closer up of that blood on the floor?
Yeah.
Now that isn't how you usually keep your truck, is it? So you were back at the back, he came up inside the van. You grabbed the gun, is that right?
Right.
And y'all started wrestling over it.
So,
He shot you in one leg,
Right.
he got shot in the other leg, and then you let go.
that's why
What did he do when you let go?
he took off when he seen me, he seen that he did that, then he seen me reaching as well, then,
So you're reaching for your gun.
like,
Let me show you. Stage 33 and 34. Does that fairly accurately, states 2033, does it fairly accurately depict the inside of your vehicle showing where the gun was laying after the police got there?
No, that's afterward.
I know afterwards, not before.
Right.
This is after the police got there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then states 34, is that a fairly accurately depict the gun you use?
So,
Kinder states 33 and 34.
Objection.
Admitted.
So 33, that's not where you had the gun when he came, is it? Why is it in there in the inside your van? In the driver's?
part. I thought I put it right there where the papers are, like, on the.
Okay, but you put it in the front seat with you?
Yeah.
When you got in the van? States 34. Is that the close-up of your gun?
That's it,
What kind of gun is that?
the 22.
All right. So when you grabbed your gun, did you shoot?
Yeah, I tried to chase him with my leg. Was
Okay.
messed up.
You tried to chase him. How did you try to chase him?
Well, I tried to go after him, so and then I fell out and out of the truck because my legs so messed up. I fell to the ground and I just shot it towards his way. And it happened.
Okay. Did you see other people out there?
Everything was so.
Okay.
Going fast.
Was there a whole bunch of
I just heard
gunshots?
a lot of people screaming and stuff.
You heard a lot of people screaming?
Yeah, I quit shooting because I guess kids around there and stuff like that.
Okay. And you weren't sure, you just heard them quit shooting? Did you hear somebody yell like, "You got me"?
That's how I heard somebody say, "Oh, you shot me." And I didn't say nothing because that's when they started tearing up the truck, you know. Shooting.
They were
They
shooting.
thought I was still inside, but I was on the ground.
So they were returning fire.
Mhm.
And was it hitting the back of the van?
It was hitting everything. I
Did
didn't
you-
even know I got hit in the back and face and stuff like that.
Did you see it afterwards with all the bullet holes in the?
After my boss told it to me, I got out the hospital.
Yeah. So let me show you. State's exhibits 22. Now, let's go a little bit further. After you got shot up and after they shot at you, did they leave?
They took off, I believe, because I didn't hear nothing.
What did you do after that?
I hurried up and I don't know, just jumped back in to the back and went to the driver's seat, jumped over it and got in it and just took off with the doors open and made it to my house.
Okay, so you drove straight to your house.
Yeah, it was not too far from there, so.
And stage 22 is that a picture of your house with the van in front of it?
Mhm.
Is that where you parked?
Had a lot of fun.
Is that fairly inaccurately depict where you
Yeah,
parked?
got out, you know, that. And, then I tied myself up, taped up to.
So then we got state's exhibits 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Do those fairly accurately depict the products that were shot up in the back of your van? Look at these. 28 is that freezer?
Yeah, deep freezing.
And there's a bullet hole in it too. And that's in stage 29. And what is this? Where is stage 30? Where's that at?
The bottom.
Is that wrong or right? Which way is it going? That's up, right? Is that a shelf?
Yeah, that's the bottom of the shelf.
Okay. And stage 31 and 32, are those pictures of your van, how it looked at night? I'm sorry, I already did 32.
They didn't do like that.
It didn't look like that?
That's,
That right there? Is that your van?
yeah, that's my one.
Okay, so there's a fairly.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Alright. Tender. Page 22. dates 25 through 31. So make that 32. 25 through 32, and then 35 through 37.
What's the last?
35 through 37. Jeff.
Objection.
All right, so without objection, states exhibits 22, 25 through 31, and 35 through 37 are admitted.
So state's 22, that's your van that's pulled up to your house, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you drove to your house, did you call the police right away?
No, sir, the one I caught was my boss, and I told him, look at the cameras, cause I just got shot, and he's like, no way, and then I'm like, yeah, I jumped out, fell on the ground. And he seen me, and then that's when all the ambulance and stuff came.
Okay. Had you tried to bind up your own wounds?
So,
What did you use?
some duct tape that I had in the blood.
So when they, just to make it clear, whenever the person stuck his gun the first time, he said, give me what you got, right?
Right.
They were trying to rob you.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Daniel. He's working on that. Got 2 cameras on the witness. Some more. Thank you.
So look at the state's 32. What are we looking at here?
Okay.
That's the inside of the van.
Yes, sir.
When you drove this, you drove it by yourself, right? Nobody else helped you.
Correct.
Now, was it trouble driving with your leg the way it was?
Well, I was using the other,
Using what?
I was using the other one.
The other leg? Okay, so you had one leg that was still good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say 31. What are we looking at here?
That's, like, bottom of the shirt.
Okay. Is 30 kind of like is that the same area or different area?
Like a little different.
A little different, another bullet hole?
Okay.
I don't know how these got out of order, but that's okay, we'll do them this way. Let's go through. 29, what are we looking at here?
The deep.
Another bullet hole, another deep freeze, and it's 28th of deep freeze?
Yeah,
Okay, is that your blood on the deep freeze?
yes, sir.
Was that blood there before?
No, sir.
Looking at 27, what do we got here?
Deep, the deep freeze, part of
Is that,
the bottom of the truck.
okay, that's the bottom of the truck down here,
Yeah,
and up here,
deep freeze.
Okay. looking at 26, what do we got?
Product.
Bullet hole in the product? Is that yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 25, what is that?
Some more product with bullet.
And 36, what is, well, let's do 35. 35, what is 35?
That's my garage.
What is all this over here?
Tied myself up, duct tape.
So 36 would be a little closer view of that, where you're using the duct tape to bind yourself up?
Yes, sir.
And now those gloves, were those left by the EMT people that treated you?
Yes, sir.
They weren't left by you, were they?
Yes, sir.
And 37, what is 37?
My shoes.
Is that blood that's on these shoes that you can see, all the moisture on here?
Yes, sir.
That come from the being shot. So now after you got shot, went to the hospital, right? You said the ambulance came. At the ambulance, what happened at the hospital? How bad were you hurt?
Um, Pretty bad, I mean, I don't really remember much
How long were you in the hospital?
for a couple of days.
Couple of days?
Yeah.
Were you ever in ICU that you know of?
Not that,
Not that you know of? Do you know how many times you were shot?
they told me 7.
7 times?
Yeah.
Have you looked at all those, seen those
Uh,
holes in you?
Yeah,
You still have problems from all that today?
Yeah.
What kind of problems you still have?
my walking and, still have nightmares, flashbacks and.
Did you feel like your life was being threatened that night whenever you got robbed?
So,
Now, you didn't have any money, but they wanted money, didn't they?
right,
Any reason why they think you had money?
I don't know, if it
Just because of your business?
probably so.
Okay. I'll pass one, Joe.
Mr. Sanchez, my name's David Grove. Uh, you know, Mr. Elo here sitting in the orange jumpsuit next to me. Okay, yeah, and when you shake your head, you said no, right? Okay. Kind of hard for this lady to write down what you say if
No, sir.
it's not very loud. Now then, you actually, when you got shot, you pulled out your gun and returned the fire. Is that right?
Yeah,
How many shots did you fire?
twice.
Okay, did you hit anybody?
Uh, I believe so, because I heard somebody say, oh, you shot me.
Okay, and again, just to make sure I understood, you heard somebody say he shot me or he got
Oh,
me.
yeah, oh, shit, you shot me.
Okay, so there were 6 shots and at least one of them hit. Is that right?
Right, 1 or 2, they said.
How many shots did you hear that were shot in your direction?
Or multiple, I mean, a lot, I don't know, I can't count how many, but I know it's a whole bunch. Right.
Well, more than 6.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
More than 20?
Uh,
Okay. Could you tell how many guns were being shot at your direction?
probably like at least 5,
5 different
4 to
guns.
5, yeah.
Now then, when we say guns, and we've got a picture of your gun in the truck, were these guns that would shoot at you, could you tell, were they handguns or were they rifles or
Then
shotguns?
like rifle, I believe they were right, assault rifle.
All rifles.
Assault rifle, that's right.
Okay. And when you say 5 guns, that's probably 5 people, right?
Correct.
Can you identify any of those people?
Oh, sir, they had shirts on their face.
Okay. What color were the shirts?
They're dark, like, the ones on their face were dark. Dark.
The ones on their face were black or dark?
Yeah, like,
Could you tell if the people, what race the people that were shooting at you were?
they were red.
I'm sorry,
Like,
black?
Yeah.
And I'm having a hard time hearing.
That's what he said, black.
Very loud.
black.
I'm too loud, but, so were they all black?
Yes, sir.
And how could you tell they were black?
Because, I mean, I got to like interact with them for a minute while they walked by me and they we're going to the other side of the land. Wherever, I don't know what they're doing, but I even talked to one and he said, you good? And that's when he came back and said, give me everything he got. So I just felt to have my gun right there.
How close were you to them?
I like walked right by them.
1 foot, 2
Uh,
foot?
Like 2 foot. Approximately.
Okay, now, I'm not sure how you could tell. Could you see their skin on their hands?
Like I could see at least the top part, like where it's not covered up.
Okay, so their eyes weren't covered up and part of their mouth was not.
Right.
How big were these 5
They're
people?
pretty big there.
Bigger than you are?
Yeah,
How tall are you?
like 5'9".
Okay, but they were all bigger than you. Were they heavier than you?
Pretty big.
Okay. So they were taller and heavier than you, is that right?
Pretty big, yeah.
And you said they had the sacks over their head. What kind of pants were they wearing?
So, even everything I so good, like
What kind of shirts were they wearing? T-shirts?
I mean, yeah, like regular t-shirt.
Well, when I say T-shirts, over the top half of their body, they were wearing regular T-shirts.
Yeah, I mean, I can't call it that good that day. I mean,
I'm having a real hard
I
time.
can't recall
I
that
can't
day.
recall that day that much.
Okay. I apologize to the court. I'm having a real hard time hearing.
Everything
It's
happened fast. It
loud.
was dark, everything happened fast, I just can't care.
Sure.
You know,
And where they were standing, was it in the light or was it in the dark?
it was like dark, but there was a light, the apartments were still around there.
Okay. Then after they shot, they didn't take anything, did they?
No, sir.
Okay. But then you got in your truck and drove home.
Yes, sir. It been that jump back in my truck. Grabbed my leg, jumped back in the truck, over the driver's seat, and drove off. With my doors open and back. Just kept trying to get away from there, just in case they want to come back or whatever the case.
Okay, you just left your back door open, just drove off.
So,
Yes, sir. Then you drove back home, is that right?
correct.
Is that where you taped up your leg or?
Yes, sir, in the garage. Yeah.
Okay. Now then from then, an ambulance was called and you were taken to the hospital, right?
Correct.
And you were not in intensive care, but you were there for about 3 days.
I was there for a couple of days.
Can you identify any of the people that shot at you that night?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you been able to return to work?
I mean, I haven't had a steady job because of my leg. It's been a while. It took me a while to recover from this. But I heard, I mean, like a month ago, I've been working for Domino's. Try to get back my life.
Well, I've got an artificial leg, so I know what you mean. But you've tried to go back to work as best you can, although it takes a little while longer than we wish it would.
Correct.
Have you been able to go back to work pretty much full time?
Nah, I've been on part-time.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
I don't have any further from this one, Sheriff.
Oh, excuse me, one other area.
Yes, sir.
Judge. When you talk to the police, did they take and rub your hands in what's called gunpowder residue
No,
test?
no, sir.
They did not do that.
Not that I know, because I quickly put on search.
Thank you.
Okay, you are excused, sir.
Go back.
Next,
Alcondria Coleman. Andria.
that is you, ma'am? Please have a seat. Thank you. And move the microphone towards your voice. Thank you.
Speak up.
And raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah, sit all the way in the middle, the chair, let's lay it back a little bit, and then we'll smooth this chair back a little bit, so you can get comfortable. There. That better? Okay. You can state your name for the record,
Hey, Andrea Coleman.
and Andrew, you live around Houston area, is that right? Back in May of 2023, did you know an individual by the name of Jerry Elam?
Yes.
And do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you point to him, describe something he's wearing? Record reflects he's identified the defendant.
Yes, it will.
Now, back on May 1st of 2023, how did you know? How long had you known Jerry? Let's try this.
Probably about a couple of months.
And was he friends with somebody that you were associated with?
Yes.
Who's that?
The guy I was pregnant for at the time and mutual friend.
Okay. So y'all just kind of knew each other from around.
Mhm.
You weren't really close friends, were you?
Not like super close.
Just kind of knew each other and kind of, I mean, had you been hanging out for a couple of weeks or a couple of months?
Couple months, yeah.
So that day, May 1st, 2023, when all this happened, did you drive a white Altima?
Yes.
Was that your car?
Yes.
And that day, had you been driving it all day?
No.
What happened with that car that day?
I let Ricky and Jerry was my car.
Okay, who's Ricky?
Ricky's son.
Ricky Sloan, is he a friend of Jerry's?
Yeah, he's a friend of mine as well.
So they borrowed your car.
Mhm.
How long were they gone in the car?
A couple hours. I was at a friend's house already in the car.
So the friend you were at, what were y'all doing at the friend's house?
Just cooking, so just hanging out. I was pregnant at the time, so
You were about 18 months pregnant or so?
18 weeks.
18 weeks pregnant, okay. A little
You
bit.
said 18 months?
Yeah, I realized it when I said it, Judge. It just came out 18 weeks. So you were cooking. Were y'all making were you making something special?
No, just to cook.
Was it whenever you got your car back, was it daylight or was it nighttime?
It was nice.
About what time at night? Was it right before all this happened?
When what?
Was it right before all this happened that we're talking about today that happened? Okay, so would it have been somewhere around 9:30 that night?
It could have been 8:39.
Okay, but it was dark outside?
Yes, sir.
So when they came back, was it just the two of them?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, she has to type down
Sorry.
words. It's okay. Where is this apartment located that you were at?
It's at I think the Regent's apartment.
Okay,
The section, I can't really just tell you the section now because it's been too long.
Okay.
She
Is
doesn't agree.
was it Beaumont, Jefferson County, Texas?
Yes, sir.
And when you were over there, did anybody else show up over at the apartment?
No.
Just the two of you?
Her baby daddy and her kids were there as well.
Okay. Was Jerry and Ricky there at any time during the day other than borrowing the car and bringing it back? So bringing it back, you said they came back about 9:30. Did they come up to the door or did they just call you and tell you they were there?
And now my friend is the one who saw my car outside.
Okay, so they didn't even call you to tell you they were there?
They didn't have phones at the time.
They didn't have a phone?
Mm-mm.
So how do they get in contact with you? Use somebody else's?
Instagram or something. Yeah.
So see your car's out there, what did you do?
I walked to my car. I thought it was them. I walked back in my friend's car. My friend's house. I go get, like, I was taking food to go. So I basically went and got the food and I go back to my car. I get in the driver's seat.
Was anybody else in the driver's portion of the front part of the car with you?
No,
Who else was in the car?
it was only me, Ricky, and Jerry.
So
They were in the back seat.
The same Jerry and you testified, you
Yes.
identified her, right? Okay. So did y'all start to leave?
I was about to leave, and then like, basically my car was already on when I got in the car.
Right.
So I was like, I drove up a little bit and then Ricky, he told me to wait a little bit. So I reversed back to the parking spot that I was already in.
Now, he didn't just tell you to wait a little bit. He said what? Go back or go in the
Yeah,
back?
he was like, go back.
Go back, okay. So you were leaving and he said, go back. Did he say why?
Mm-mm.
Did you see anybody else in the parking lot?
At that time, no.
Wow. So did you see a white van?
I remember seeing a van, but I don't remember the color.
Okay.
It was next to my car.
Was it long after y'all back into the spot?
It wasn't that long.
So did you see whether the van pulled in straight or backed in?
They reversed in the same as my car was.
So the doors to the back of the van would have been behind where you were facing, because you were facing forward too also. Is that right?
I was reversed, so my front was like,
So y'all were opposite.
no, we were the same, literally the same.
Okay, all right. So you backed in just like he backed in.
Mhm.
What were Ricky and Jerry doing when you backed in?
They were in the back seat.
While you were sitting there, did you see anybody else coming out of any other place in the parking lot?
So I'm gonna say maybe, if we weren't sitting there for a long time, I ended up seeing like from straight ahead, coming from one of the apartment complexes, I saw like two shadows maybe.
Okay. As they got closer, did you see that there were individuals?
Like,
Did you tell there were people?
oh yeah,
Okay. And could you tell whether they were wearing masks or not?
them two, no,
Okay,
them two, no,
okay. When you say them two, no.
cause I saw two people, like two
Right,
shadows.
okay. So they come up. After that, did somebody else come up to the car?
Right then and there, no,
All right. So did eventually somebody come up to the car?
yeah.
Okay. What happened how'd that happen?
So like, which part do you want me to explain?
Well, you're sitting there, you saw the two individuals. Which way were they coming from the
They
apartment?
were across the way, so like they were coming like from behind me, I guess you can say.
Were they coming towards you?
No, they
Okay.
weren't coming towards me. They were just like looking, like they were looking at something or something.
All right. So they didn't come over there.
Mm-mm.
All right. So while you're sitting there, did somebody else approach the car?
So this is like, yes, but this is after, like, with the van and everything.
Okay. What do you mean after the van and everything?
Like whenever I was hearing the shooting and stuff.
Okay. So do you remember watching the statement with Detective Torres earlier? You remember the last time you talked to him about what the story was? You remember that the two people got in the car, telling him the two masked people got in the back seat with Jerry and Ricky, and then you heard a gunshot outside.
Repeat that, please.
Do you remember talking to Detective Torres and giving him a statement? You watched it up in my office just a while ago, right? You remember telling him that Jerry and Ricky were sitting in the back seat of your car,
Mm-hmm.
that two masked individuals got into the back seat of your car and you thought you were about to be robbed.
Yeah, but that wasn't whenever I saw them the first time by the apartment complex. This was after I started hearing the shooting.
That's what we're getting at.
Okay.
They got in the car after you heard the shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't remember telling Detective Torres the last story that you told Detective Torres.
I don't recall the timing, but I recall right now.
Do you remember them, you telling him they got in the back seat?
Mm-hmm.
You thought you were going to be robbed.
Mm-hmm.
You said, what are y'all doing?
Mm-hmm.
You told them to get out of your car,
They got out.
and then you heard a shot.
Yes,
And then you kind of dug down and they all got out.
yes.
Okay. So they were back there in the car whenever the first shot happened, right?
I think they were like getting in maybe.
And then everybody got out of the back seat.
If I'm remembering straight, I want to say that Darren and Ricky were in the back seat whenever the first shooting happened. Like whenever I heard the first gun sound, and then I want to say, I'm really not sure. I really don't recall.
Well, when you talk to Detective Torres, I have him here, remember?
I understand
Yeah.
that, but I'm telling you as of
Okay.
right now, I don't recall. I know I just watched my statement video, but.
And at that statement, did you not tell Detective Torres that the two men got inside? You were wondering if you were about to be robbed.
I remember telling him that, but
Okay.
the timing as of when the two people got in my car, I'm not
Do you-
gonna recall.
You remember telling Detective Torres that they didn't say anything
Mm-hmm,
and you thought you were about to be robbed.
mm-hmm.
And you remember telling Detective Torres, then you heard the gunshot outside. And they got out of the car after that gunshot.
Okay, so I remember telling the detective that, but what I don't recall is the timing.
You remember telling him that Ricky and Jerry also got out of the vehicle with the two masked men.
No,
Do you remember that?
because I don't even remember, like, I'm not remember the timing as far as.
You remember telling them that after the shooting, all of the gunshots and everything, that Ricky got you, told you to get out of the car and let's go?
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, I'm going to object to that. He's trying to lead a witness, which is his witness, by using hearsay from a conversation that apparently he wasn't even involved with. It's improper impeachment, or basically trying to bolster his witness, and I object to it as being improper leading.
Right. If a witness is changing their story and with surprise has changed the story from recorded statements being given earlier, then he can treat that person as a hostile witness and he can lead. And those statements are going to come out so that the fact finder, me, can make a determination which is the truth, what was said earlier or what's being said now. And that is built into the rules of evidence. Overruled. He has set into the record that she made statements earlier that are now different under oath. So we'll see where perjury heads in this testimony. Go ahead.
So do you remember telling Detective Torres that Ricky and Jerry got out of the car, there were more gunshots, you were just hovering down in your car, scared to death?
I remember telling the detective all of that. As far as the timing, as in when, I do not recall, but I remember telling the detective what you're asking me to say.
Okay. That's it, she told me. Do you remember telling Detective Horowitz that you started running with Ricky and Jerry?
I ran with Ricky because Jerry went his own way.
Jerry went his own way. Do you remember telling him that Jerry was limping as he was running?
Yes,
Did you know that he got shot?
I figured he got shot because of the way he was limping.
Later on, did you find out he was at the hospital
Yes, sir.
because he was shot?
Yes, sir.
Now, while you were in that car and those masked men came up, you remember Detective Torres telling you that they saw how many masked men there were?
Mm-hmm.
How many did you see?
I think I saw probably like two extra people.
2 extra people. What do you mean 2 extra people?
Like, and as far as like, besides Ricky and Jerry, it was probably like two or three extra people.
2 or 3 extra people.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you hear all the gunshots going on?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear the man in the van yelling like he was trying to not be robbed?
I
You
heard
tell-
I heard him yelling, but I'm not gonna sit here and say like he was being wrong, but I
Did-
heard him. Yes.
Okay, but did you say that it sounded to you, to Detective Torres, it sounded to you like he was trying to stop the robbery, trying to stop from being robbed?
If that's what was happening, then yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you never stepped out of the car, did you?
I tried to step out of the car and it was too many gunshots, so I stepped back in the car.
So your testimony is that you're trying to leave, Ricky told you to stay there, back up,
Yes.
right? Okay, so you backed back up,
Mhm.
and then shortly after the van arrives,
Yeah, it was shooting.
two masked men show up. Is that right?
It was like, okay, so when I saw the first two shadows, they were across the way. They were not nowhere near my
Okay.
car.
I'm talking about the two that got in the car with you. Two that got in the car with you had masks on, didn't
Yes.
they? Okay. And they didn't say anything, did they?
No, they didn't say anything.
And Ricky and Jerry didn't say anything either, did they?
No.
And then
When
whenever,
they all came in my car, that's when I was like, get out, cursing and stuff, and they all got out.
okay. And then the other shooting started.
It was all one shooting. Like the first gun sound that I heard, I was in my car. Ricky and Jerry were in my car with me, they were in the back seat. So it was like whenever the first shooting, it's like we all heard the first gun like go off. So whenever we heard that, that's whenever they got out the car, I guess to like see what was going on. And then next thing I know, I just hear a lot of like gunfire.
So did you find it strange that right before you are leaving, you're just about to leave, and that white van wasn't there yet? They tell you not to leave, to back up and wait a minute.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of weird to me, but I didn't think like that was gonna happen.
And don't you find it strange that two masked gunmen just suddenly get in your car with two guys in your back seat and nobody says anything or does anything?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to get out there, but yeah, I did.
And then whenever the shooting starts, they all get out, and then you're just running and going for your life, right?
So when the shooting happened, no one was in my car. I was in my car by myself.
Okay.
Everyone, that's what I'm saying, everyone was there outside, whatever they were doing, that going on. I don't know. I didn't see who was there. I don't know. Can't tell you that.
So at the time of the shooting, you were the only one in the car, is that correct?
The first gunfire that I heard, Ricky and Jerry were in my backseat.
Okay, but the next
Yes.
set of gunfire,
So
everybody
like
was,
whenever we heard that, they got out of the car to see what was going on. And then that's whenever I just started hearing a lot of gunfire. I was in the car by myself.
okay. After that, did you talk to Jerry and Ricky again? After that?
No,
You hadn't had any words with them?
no,
Okay. So was there anybody else? Let me ask this. Did you see Ricky and Jerry with guns?
no,
Do you know Ricky and Jerry to carry guns?
sometimes,
Sometimes. You tell the detective you wouldn't doubt that they had one because they carried them.
yes.
Okay. As a matter of fact, are they all members of the group called 4G?
So they claim.
So they claim. Well, I mean, they claim to be a member of a 4G gang. Is that right?
Mhm.
And what does the 4G do? You know?
No, I mean, I'm not a part of that. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't know what they do. I don't know what they have going on.
I'll pass these up. Yeah.
Ariel, I want you to speak real loudly as you can, because I have a hard time hearing your voice. It's
Okay,
kind of soft, okay?
okay.
Now, these two people that you saw coming across the apartments, you said they had masks on?
I wasn't too sure.
Okay.
I wasn't too sure. They were too far.
Did those two people go and get in your car?
No, so when I saw them, I literally asked Ricky, I was like, who is that? He was acting like he couldn't see who it was. And I can't see far away. I wear glasses. I didn't have my glasses on. So when I saw the two shadows, I figured it was people. I asked Ricky and he acted like he couldn't see. But they never came in my car. When I saw them come and look around the apartment, they went right back where they came from.
So they didn't jump over to your car?
No, not away. No,
Okay.
they did not.
And then you said when the shooting started,
Mhm.
had you heard any shooting earlier?
No.
Right. The first shot you heard,
Mhm.
you said that Ricky and Jerry were in your car in the back seat.
Mhm.
Could you tell when somebody shooting towards your car?
No, I wasn't sure where it was coming from.
Okay. And then the other two people got in your car, is that right?
Mhm.
Okay. And were they in the front seat, back seat? Where
It
were
was
they?
all back.
Okay. Once they got in, was there some more shooting?
I want to say it's like whenever I heard the first sound, it's like it was just a whole bunch of gunfire. So whenever I think they got in my car, I don't think there was any more gunfire. Because I ended up telling them like get out, and that's when everyone ran.
When those two people got in the car, was it like they were being shot at?
You can say that.
Well, I mean, I wasn't there. That's why I'm asking you. Is that
It
what
was just a lot of gunfire. So it's
Okay.
like, I mean, if it was me and, even if I'm in a crossfire, like I'm gonna try to shield, so I mean, never.
After this was all over, were there any gunshot holes in your car?
Yes.
How many?
I really don't remember the number, but it was a lot.
Okay, we're talking more than 5.
Maybe 5, maybe
Okay.
7. I've only seen a picture of my car. I haven't seen it in person.
Okay. But after this whole hearing the gunshots,
Mhm.
there were probably about 5 gunshot holes in your car somewhere.
Yes.
And you didn't see where those shots came from, but they came from outside the car, didn't
Yeah, I
they?
was in my car. I didn't
Okay.
see anything.
Now, the 2 people that got in your car were the first ones out after the shooting continued, is that right?
Mhm.
And then Ricky and Jerry got out.
I really, honestly, I can't recall. Like, I was in the front seat by myself, like, but I remember, like, when everyone tried to get in, I was like, get out. And it wasn't any more gunshots after that. Like, everyone just, like, went their separate ways.
And you were the only one left in the car at the end, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were the last one out.
Yes, sir.
Once you got out of the car, was there any more gunshots?
No, sir.
Okay. You also said that you saw a van of some color. You can't remember what color it was. I understand that, but
Yes, sir.
did you see where that van went or anything like that?
I want to say, like, he drove up and he took a left because he had to, like, drive by my car. And I know he left, like, out of the parking lot. I can't tell you after that.
Okay. Do you know whose van that was or
No.
anything?
No, sir.
So you couldn't identify the van except you saw one.
Yes, sir.
That's good, Shiner.
So you saw the van leave?
Yes.
Well, I thought after the shots died, you and Ricky took off one way, Jerry took off the other way, and y'all were going to get out of there.
Before that I, like, got out of my car to run, the van left first.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So the shooting happens, people get out of the car, and then there's time for the van to leave before you get with Ricky.
So it was literally like shooting, and then after the shooting, that's when everyone tried to come get in my car. I wasn't going for that. I told him to get out of my car. So literally, as everyone else was like, we were all running and stuff.
Okay.
It was his car.
Who's everyone?
Whoever was there shooting.
Well, how many were there that were trying to get in your
2
car?
people. That's okay. So with the 2 people plus me and Jerry, that's 5 people.
Okay.
So that's what I mean when I say everything.
So everybody that was in the shooting, at least the 2 that were out there that got out.
I don't know if they were in the shooting or
The
not.
ones wearing masks, right? Okay. They got out.
Yes.
And Jerry and Ricky got out.
I think they were, listen, I'm not sure, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't know if they were in the car already, if they were outside of the car. I know Ricky, he was already outside of the car, but he told me to come to him.
Then the 4 of them tried to get back in the car together, right?
I don't recall, honestly.
You just said it.
I can't recall.
Okay, you just said all four of them were trying to get to the car, right?
They were all, yeah, they were probably all trying to get in the car, but I know the question that you asked me about the van, I was able to see the van leave. The van left as I was literally running. It's nothing you can't miss. It was a van, like, that was next to my car.
Okay. But it left before you got out of your car.
Probably, or at the same time that I was getting out. I remember seeing the van leave.
You had any contact with Gary while he's been in jail?
No.
Okay. Not by email, by fax, anything like that?
I just put some money on his phone for jail yesterday.
How'd you know how to do that?
What do you mean how?
Well,
Because
yeah.
I went through somebody else, not him. I have not talked to Jerry this whole time he's been in
Has
jail.
anybody else delivered messages to you from Gary?
They tried to, yeah. Nothing bad. They wanted me to testify for him, but I don't want to be here. I didn't want to be in this at all, so.
No, not subpoenaed,
It
you're right.
wasn't family. Nobody, tried to tell me don't testify or anything. Yeah.
I'll pass it to
Anything else
nothing this morning.
from Mr. Grove?
As I understand it, yesterday you sent some emails to Mr. Elam in jail.
So I had to, who I spoke to, they told me I got money sent for him, for his phone. So who I spoke to, they told me to, send a request to him so he could accept it so I could put the money on the phone for him. And that's all it was. I have not spoke to Jarian through an email, a phone call, and none of that. I put money on his phone, that was it.
So, what it was, you sent some money so that you could
Someone
talk to
sent
him in
money to
jail.
me for him, yes,
Okay,
yes.
but you hadn't talked to him since he's been in jail.
And that was the first time that I ever did that for him
Okay.
yesterday.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Nothing, bro, Jim.
Who told you to send money?
Keyshawn,
Who's
someone that I used to deal with.
What was the name?
Keyshawn,
Keyshawn Barlow?
yes,
Keyshawn Barlow, the one that was father of your child
yes.
and was friends with Jerry, is that right?
Mhm.
And it's also the same Keyshawn Barlow that I think I'm prosecuting for murder now, isn't that right? He has a murder charge?
Okay,
All right.
I didn't know.
Okay.
You did not know that?
I literally just started talking to him 3 weeks ago. It's nothing.
How long has that charge been pending?
I don't worry about Keyshawn.
It's been pending about a year, I think, dude. You say, might not have been that long. So, okay, I'm not signed up. She's got it.
You didn't know that he's the father of your child has a murder charge pending? Yeah, let me speak and then you can interrupt later. That's not the way we work here. You don't interrupt. You didn't know that the father of your child had a murder charge pending for over a year?
So his office date was June of
Who
23.
is it? What's the relationship to him?
You said what?
What's the relationship to you from him?
Keyshawn is a friend now. Whenever he got picked up for whatever he got picked up for, I wasn't pregnant anymore. I went to Kansas and got an abortion, got rid of the baby.
All right, let's just go back to this thing. I'm a little unclear about this on the vehicle. Why were you parked at this location where this shooting occurred?
I was getting picked up from my friend's house. They were outside. I had to go to my car. I had to walk outside to leave. I had to go get in my car.
Were you going to drop them off somewhere?
I don't
Supposedly,
know. I don't know what the plan was supposed to be. I just wanted to. I got picked up.
they just got in the car and just going to go wherever y'all wanted to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
How were you able to, when you were in the vehicle, how was the car parked that you were able to see what was going on?
It was reversed.
Oh, it was back. And so you saw the truck then coming.
Yeah, I was able to see
And that's
The van like.
And then the shooting was all
It was
happening in
like-
front of you.
It wasn't in front of me, it was literally, I guess, on the side and the back, cause I was able to see everything in front. This never happened in front of me.
Okay, I still don't understand it. The car's parked.
So if you,
My windows were up and I had 30% tint on my car. In the back.
Okay, but I'm talking about the way you say it was backed up in the
So-
parking spot.
let me get this straight. Like you're backed up right now, if you're facing this way, that's front of your car, right?
Yes,
And the van's backed up like this, right?
yes, the same
And
exact.
so the back doors are open back here, back behind you.
I never saw doors on the
Right.
van, but
Because
I just
it
saw the
was
van.
behind you and behind your seats.
No, the van was literally parked next to me, the same way that I was parked.
Where he is, like to your right side,
The
like
van,
where he is. The
Yes.
that van was parked like Mr. Laird is next to you on the right side of you.
but I never saw any doors. I just saw a regular.
Okay. And they had backed up just like you had backed up.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else you
No,
want to
Your
ask us? Okay, can she be excused?
Please, Jeff.
You are excused.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next, please. All right. Summary, state, defense, in that order. Thank you.
But I think it's clear that there was something that happened at the Reason Apartments that Mr. Sanchez was robbed. And the fact that two masked people get into a car with the defendant and another individual and nothing is said, but they all get out together during the robbery, I think says a lot about exactly what was going on that night, especially after the co-defendant, Ricky Sloan, told Miss Coleman not to drive forward, but to back up and to back into a spot and to wait. And they waited for that white van to show up, the other car to show up, all the people to get out and all the people to rob Mr. Sanchez. They ran off together. This man's given different stories about how he got shot to different people. He was not cooperative with the police about telling them what happened. Matter of fact, Miss Coleman didn't want to testify. That's why she's kind of vague on her stories about what she told Detective Torres. What she told Detective Torres, lastly, and what Detective Torres got from her in the last story added up to the evidence. So there being more than one masked gunman. There were at least three that were shooting, and the two that got in, there's one shot that was outside that. I don't know who that was, but I do know that this gentleman right here got out of the car. There were several more gunshots going on. He was shot during the back and forth and took off running and left and tried to stay gone for a while, but ended up at the hospital. At the hospital, he told them a story that's kind of true, but kind of not true. Told his probation officer a different story, told the police a different story. Everything just kind of doesn't add up to what Mr. Elam said. The fact that he's on for an aggravated robbery also says a lot. This young man has got quite a history as far as juvenile history, but he's on probation for an aggravated robbery where he covered his face with some cloth that he ended up robbing a store with and using a handgun. This was one that was kind of similar to it, except for it was outdoors, but it was robbing somebody who's got a store in the back of his van. Ms. Coleman did say that she felt kind of strange that they made her back in, and it kind of dawned on her why they made her do that after she saw those people coming with the mask. She also said that she hadn't spoken to them in this entire time, but yet she's putting money on the defendant's book. So you got to kind of take some of her testimony and say that she is here kind of leaning towards the defendant's side. But I think for this purposes, for a preponderance of the evidence of proving the aggravated robbery, I think there's enough there for the court to look at the story that Ms. Coleman told, look at what Detective Torres said he saw from the evidence, and also the fact that that the defendant got out of the car and didn't just like run or anything, but they actually had time after the shooting for the van to drive off, for them to come and get her and to run away. I think that there's enough evidence to find true for the aggravated robbery. The failure to report is very simple. He didn't report March, April, May of 2023. This offense occurred in May of May 1st, right after he stopped reporting. And then when he talks to Joseph for probation, he tells her that he was shot walking home from somewhere. Didn't tell her the truth about that. So he lied about how he got shot to try to cover, to keep from getting in trouble on his probation and being at that robbery scene. So I think at least you've got the absconder status of him not reporting. He calls in May to say that lie about why he can't report anymore. Now he doesn't have to. He's caught somewhere. He's at a hospital. The police have talked to him, so he has to call his probation officer. But otherwise, she never talked to him again until September. So I'd ask that that you find those true and that he be sentenced to prison.
Who's in the doorway? Good. Defense?
And close the court.
Yes.
Yeah. As the court knows, as I know, unfortunately, it's not necessary for Mr. Laird to prove all the things that he tried to put evidence on about. I don't think there is any doubt that if the court wants to, you can find that Mr. Elam violated his probation by failing to report for about 2.5 months. Basically, that was about it. We could talk about the robbery. You could go into great detail about that. All we know is that there was testimony from Miss Coleman that Mr. Elam was there. Not that he had a gun, not that she saw a gun, not that he had a mask, none of that. And this is a witness that, well, actually, besides Mr. Sanchez, he was the only witness. We also know, according to Detective Torres, that there were at least 4 different caliber shell casings that they found there at the scene. We don't even know what caliber Mr. Sanchez, the victim in the robbery, was shot with. But it's obvious there were probably at least 4 people because both Ricky and Mr. Elam were shot. Now, who shot them? It wasn't 22, so it wasn't. I don't think, probably wasn't Mr. Sanchez. But the mere fact that he was there is not enough for the court to find, by preponderance of the evidence, that he violated his probation. I don't believe. On the other hand, it's one of those things that's very, very interesting. No one else besides Ms. Coleman identifies him as even being there. Unfortunately, I know the way that the law is, and all that they have to prove is that he violated his probation because he didn't report. And he didn't report. I think, though, that the court, considering that he had been in confinement for 18 months before he started probation, got out in December, I believe the testimony that from Ms. Jacobs was. And then we have these problems, and he's been in custody virtually all of 2023 and 2024. I would urge the court to consider that he did violate his probation, but I believe the time he's already served in incarceration should be enough to take care of that. And as far as proving, even by preponderance of evidence, that he violated his probation by possessing a handgun or committing an aggravated robbery, there is not near enough to prove even beyond the preponderance of the evidence.
All right, anything else? Yeah. All right. The court's going to make some findings as follows. Number one, the defendant was placed on probation in this court for the first degree felony of aggravated robbery on May 16th, 2022. This offense occurs on or about the aggravated robbery here that we're talking about today, that the defendant is alleged to be involved in, which is allegation 1 in the motion to revoke probation, is alleged to have occurred on or about May 1st of 2023, where he was discovered while absconding from probation, from supervision, about 10 o'clock p.m. at a location where another robbery occurs that is similar to the kind of subject matter and general method that the robbery took place that he was placed on probation for in the first place. It is up to, you can argue the same old tricks. Obviously, if he would have been following the rules and reporting regularly and not being an absconder, he arguably wouldn't have been involved in this location where the witness, the victim witness, and the evidence shows that multiple people, as many as 4, were involved in the shooting and the robberies. And the defendant compounds all of this later by, of all things, lying to the probation officer, since he was shot while in an absconded time period, in the status of being an absconder from supervision. And he lies stating that he was shot while walking to his girlfriend's house. Why would somebody lie like that except to create a fictional story that he has proven to be dishonest in the past about? He's dishonest. He is assisting in the commission of this robbery that is committed in a similar fashion as the robbery he committed that he was placed on probation for in the first place. And again, is shot while in the middle of a robbery, while on probation and absconding from probation. How many mistakes can someone make? It is without a doubt that the defendant failed to report to the Jefferson County Probation Office for the months of April and May of 2023 as required in his probation order. He has violated that condition number 4 of his deferred or unadjudicated probation order. He has failed to provide verification of performing community service hours as required according to the undisputed evidence and testimony of Ms. Joseph, his probation officer. And by preponderance of the evidence or greater, it is shown that he was involved either as a primary actor or an accessory in the commission of this aggravated robbery on or about May 1st, 2023. Thus, the motion to revoke unadjudicated probation is granted, and his deferred or unadjudicated probation is hereby revoked. Anybody want to add anything else?
Judge, we've got, this is a string of violence that seems to be increasing. First, it's somebody.
Do you have any other evidence
No,
you want to?
no.
Okay, go ahead. Argue. You can summarize.
So looking at his past history as a juvenile and his pre-sentence report, he's had numerous offenses building up to all this. And This violence in our community's got to stop. He's going to get killed. Somebody's going to get killed. Somebody almost got killed this time. So we've got to do something to keep them from to protect the public from him and from his cohort. And since he has decided to make it his job to lie and not help the police, not to cooperate with anybody, but to make it more available for his cohorts to be able to commit these crimes, I would ask for 50 years minimum.
Mr. Grove?
Yeah. Your Honor, Mr. Elam was placed on adult probation when he was a juvenile. Now, he had a juvenile record and he had been doing things before that time. But still, because he started that early, he has not had as much time as many people. He now, at his current age, is going to be incarcerated for a long period of time. I'm sure that the court will make an affirmative finding in this case because he was indicted and is on probation for aggravated robbery.
Mhm.
But I'd ask the court to show some leniency and not just throw his entire life away. He's done some things that were bad. There's no doubt about that. But in the overall scheme of things, I'd ask the court to tender some mercy towards him in this matter.
All right, anything else?
Judge.
Let me see the lawyers up here for just a second, please. Fine. Hand down the ruling. Come on up. We're gonna finish this out.
The judge, what you got here.
All right, again, we are recalling 21-37141, the state of Texas versus Jarian Gamal Elam Jr., who's present with Mr. Grove, his attorney, and the state's attorney. Upon the court's hearing the evidence in this motion to revoke probation, the court finds that by a preponderance of the evidence or greater, that the defendant violated allegation 1 by committing the offense of aggravated robbery on or about May 1st, 2023 in Jefferson County, Texas. And the court will also add that it is noted that a person is criminally responsible for an offense such as this aggravated robbery, even if committed by the conduct of another, if acting with the intent to promote or assist the commission of the offense, he solicits, encourages, directs, aids, or attempts to aid another person to commit the offense. Or in an attempt to carry out a conspiracy to commit a felony. If another felony is committed by one of the conspirators, all conspirators are guilty of the felony actually committed, even though having no intent to commit it, if the offense was committed in furtherance of the unlawful purpose and was one that should have been anticipated as a result of the carrying out of the conspiracy. And it is obvious that and anyone can draw a reasonable inference that the victim in this case was lured to the scene by the defendant and others, and that it was a planned coup by others in an obvious conspiracy to hijack the complainant. And it is noted the complainant was seriously injured. Others were shot, part of the defendants in this case, the wrongdoers. And the fact that someone was not killed is the reason why you're not facing capital murder, which would have been death or life without parole. And that's what happens when somebody is killed during the course of an aggravated robbery. But you knew all of that when you first were put on probation. You knew it. You didn't take it seriously. It was obviously a joke to you. That's why you scampered off and absconded. You weren't supervised, and it was just a few months when you decided to go out on your own because following the rules is not in your chemistry. That's not what you do. But whether or not you can appreciate it and learn from it, the fact of the matter is choices have consequences and crimes have to be punished. And this court also finds that you failed in allegations 4 and 5 to report to the probation office regularly as required, as you failed to report for the months of April and May of 2023, which would have been less than a year, about 10 months or so after you were placed on probation. You absconded. We lost supervision of you because you decided to go off the grid and go about your own life, which included being involved at 10 o'clock at night at a robbery where someone was almost killed. You also failed to provide verification of performing community service hours as required. And that compounds this whole problem, as you are proven to have failed by preponderance of the evidence or greater by committing the violations in 1, 4, and 5 of this motion to revoke unadjudicated probation. So your deferred or unadjudicated probation is hereby revoked. Earlier in this case, you pleaded guilty to the aggravated robbery voluntarily, the first aggravated robbery here, the primary offense you were placed on probation on, where firearms was a deadly weapon was used, namely a firearm, in the commission of that offense as well. You pleaded guilty voluntarily. You were mentally competent to do so. You understood and appreciated the consequences of pleading guilty. There was sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea from State's Exhibit 1 admitted here in the plea hearing to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Now that your deferred or unadjudicated probation is revoked, I hereby find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of that original offense of aggravated robbery that you were placed on, a first-degree felony. You are hereby sentenced to confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 50 years. An affirmative finding that a deadly weapon, namely a firearm, will be placed on the judgment, which means you won't be paroled until you serve at least 1/2 of the sentence. All of this, from the very beginning, has been your choices, your failure to follow the rules, your failure to, in each of these cases, appreciate that people are put in harm's way and their lives are threatened. You don't seem to care about anyone else. But this is what happens. This is the result when you don't show compassion to other people and you don't follow the rules and continue to commit violent crimes. That is what we call justice. That is all. You were taken into custody.